Today we're looking at the Akko 3068 9009 Retro Edition. It's another 65 mechanical keyboard under $100 that's really hard to pass on, and in this video we're going to find out why coming up. Hey guys, this is Betty from Switch and Click, and today we have another mechanical keyboard review. Surprise, surprise. And I've been thinking about this a lot, that recently we've been reviewing a lot of keyboards that I've said that are keepers, that are hard to pass on, that are great, that are high quality, great build, and everything like that. Nowadays, we've been reviewing a lot of things that are around the $99 to $150 range, and within that price range there are a ton of good options. They vary very slightly, and to be honest, any of them that you pick will be a good buy. They'll last long, they'll feel awesome, and you won't have to replace them for a really long time. So in today's video we'll be taking a look at the Akko 3068 65% mechanical keyboard with the 9009 retro themed keycaps, and I'm gonna say it's a good buy. I've been enjoying it a lot, and I've been enjoying pretty much everything that I've been testing a lot. Even whatever's on my desk right now, it's great. Whatever I'm reviewing next, that's great too. There's so many good options at this price range, and if you have to ask what do I think is the best of the best at around the $100–120 price range, it's a tough answer. A lot of them are very similar. They have a lot of the same features that I look for in what makes a keyboard a good buy, what makes it high quality, and that's what we'll be talking about here, along with my next review as well, which is what I would consider one of the best mechanical keyboards in stock form that I've ever used of all time. And if you wanted me to tell you one recommendation, like, that would be the board to go with. But that's next time. So in this one, we're talking about this one. The other one's a little bit more expensive. This one is a great, more affordable version in a really good form factor as well. So let's jump into what's in the box. Also, before we do that, thanks to Epomaker for sending us this board. All right, so inside the box we have a manual, and most of it is in Chinese. So if you jump to the second half of it, that will be the English portion. But it tells you the secondary functions, it tells you how to record the macros, it tells you how to do some of the things like Windows lock and things like that too. So very useful there. You also get a plastic dust cover, and it is recyclable, so if you end up not using it, please recycle it. I never use these things, but I like the fact that they give you one, and it does fit on the board perfectly. There's no gapping, there's no area for the dust to actually come in. You get a cute little wire keycap puller that looks like a doggy paw or a kitty paw, depending on what you prefer, and that's cute. It's nice and pink. And you get 2 escape keys, 2 space keys, and 2 enter keys, but alongside that you also get 2 enters for the number pad. Although this specific layout doesn't have a number pad, so there's really no point in using those keys. The escape keys do have the Akko logo on them, but it looks pretty cool. I'll take it. So you can see right now I actually have some of the special colored keys on my board, because who doesn't like something a little more fun, And you also get a matching USB-C cable with its own Velcro wire management system. It matches the keycaps and the build of the keyboard perfectly, with the Akko logo on one side as well. So a nice retro theme overall. So let's jump into the build quality, and we always start with the backside. So on the back you can already see that there are no kick-up feet anywhere. And for a keyboard at this price, I'm actually surprised that it doesn't have that feature. It's not a deal breaker for me, because I tend not to use the feet anyways, but if you do, then maybe think about going $10 up and getting a Ducky 12 SF perhaps, or even the Varmillo Mia Pro. There are rubber feet here. There's 4 of them, and they're cylindrical, 4 of them right there. And alongside that, you do see that the keyboard has its own angle with this kind of stepped design in the back here. So it looks pretty good from the side. It's a pretty natural angle and I don't really have any complaints about it whatsoever. The case itself has nice thick bezels. The case is made of plastic, but it's a pretty solid build and it doesn't seem to flex or creak when I try and bend it. It definitely seems like the kind of case where if you drop your board, not much is going to happen to it other than a few scratches. The USB-C port is on the top left of the board and it's mostly flush. I suspect most of your custom cables are going to fit. However, the ones with really large plastic ends might not get flush all the way for the keyboard to work. So be on the lookout for that. Now it's time for the keycaps, and the keycaps are really nice. For someone with not the best eyesight, these are really good. Even in the dark, even in dim lighting, even at night, even far away. The font here is so big and so high contrast that you'll be able to see them from way farther than if you were looking at some other board. So I don't know if that's a good thing for you, but for me, with my bad vision, especially at nighttime, this is a really nice font. The keycaps are OEM profile, and it's probably what you're used to. I would prefer cherry profile since that would make it a little bit lower and closer to the desk for me to type on, but OEM is all right too. It's the same sculpted design, just a little bit taller. They are made of dye sublimated 85% PVT plastic, and that's still going to be pretty resistant to oil and shine for the long run. It's a little bit of ABS in there, and the keycaps do feel smooth to the touch. Without the fun colored keycaps, you see that it's sort of a two-toned light beige and dark beige color, and it looks faded almost if you're looking at it from far away. And it really matches the retro design that they're going for here. Faded keycaps do remind me of the monitors in the old days where they're big boxes instead of like the flat monitors that they are nowadays. So something like this doesn't fit too well in my setup where it's not retro. But if you're into the whole IBM kind of look, it's not a bad choice. So when paired with linear switches and this case and these keycaps, the sounds that this board makes is quite bassy and a deeper tone than what other keyboards that I've used with Cherry MX Red sound like. It's nice to listen to, and I enjoy just clacking on it when I walk by or something like that. Is that too weird? I feel like that's too weird. So all the legends here are all capitalized. You got capital Enter, Shift, Backspace, Delete, everything. I like seeing a uniform pattern throughout. There's no secondary functions, at least no sub legends though. And it looks clutter-free and it's really clean, but it would have been nice to have either side printed legends or small sub legends or something that would just help me memorize what some of these secondary functions are. Or at least that's what I prefer. You know, clutter-free looks pretty clean too. It is a 65% layout on the top number row. When you hold FN and press any of that, you get the function keys from F1 through F12. On the far right, you're gonna start at the top with the tilde key, delete, page up, page down. And then on the bottom right, you have your dedicated arrow keys, a small shift, and then 3 1U mods as well. It's very typical on what we see in 65% layouts in general. There's nothing too crazy here to look out for replacement keycaps. Most keycap sets that you buy that are custom will fit this layout. We also have a few secondary functions for the missing nav keys here. If you hold FN and page up, you get home. If you hold FN and page down, you get end. FN and I is insert. FN and C is calculator. FN and M is mute. Comma is volume down. Period is bottom is volume up. So they're sort of really easy to remember, which is nice. That they're not just on random keys just because someone thought it would be convenient to put them on. I mean, C for calculator, I for insert, M for mute. That's all really easy to remember, and I appreciate that a lot. All right, for the switches of this board, we got the Cherry MX Reds. You can also choose from Cherry MX Browns and Cherry MX Blues. So the typical trio, pretty much, I would prefer Cherry MX Reds with the stabilizers and the keycaps, everything just sounds really awesome with a nice linear switch. They are soldered on and there are no hot swappable features on this board. When typing on this board, there's very minimal spring ping that you can hear, and alongside that, I've used a lot of Cherry MX Reds so far, and this one sort of feels smoother and less of the usual friction that I feel on other boards. But that could just be my imagination, and it's equally scratchy. All right, on to the stabilizers. The stabilizers on this board, at least for the MX Red version, I'm not sure about the blue or browns, but the stabilizers have red stems in black housing, so they look like mini reds right next to the actual red switch, and I think that's pretty cute. Alongside that, they are very stable in their plate with just a little bit of wobbliness, but they sound amazing. They are pre-lubed stabilizers on all the bigger keys, and they work well. There's no rattle. There's not much to complain about. On the spacebar though, the right side of the spacebar sounds better than the left side of the spacebar. Unfortunately, I press space with my left hand, so I get the not as great side. This may vary between model to model, of course. Underneath, if you look under the spacebar, the plate looks as if it could be a split spacebar keyboard. However, the PCB doesn't support that feature. So despite being a really bland looking board, it feels really solid. It looks nice. And one of the best things is that you don't really need to do any mods, so you don't really need it to be hot swap in the first place. Unless you want different switches, then well, that's a whole nother story. There are some additional features here that we should definitely talk about. You have the dedicated arrow keys on the bottom right, but if you wanted to use WASD for your arrow keys, you can do that as well. By holding FN and W, you switch WASD to be dedicated arrow keys, and if you're gaming on something that would prefer your hand to be in that position, then you can do that. And to switch back, you just hold FN and W again. There's Windows lock with FN and the left Windows key. You can reset the board by holding FN and the tilde key until the caps lock light blinks 3 times. And the reason to reset is if you have a ton of macros everywhere and you just want to erase them all, that would be how you do it. So macro recording is done within the board itself. There's no software. It's all firmware, similar to the Ducky 1.2 Mini or the Ducky 1.2 SF and boards like that. And in the manual, it does tell you how to do it, but we'll do a quick walkthrough right now. So one thing you need to know is that you cannot reprogram the escape key, the FN key, or the left Windows key. Those are stuck where they are. And alongside that, it doesn't say this, but I also think you cannot reprogram the tilde key because that's necessary as well. So the macro mode doesn't take into account the timing between each key press, but it does take into account what you press. So here's how to record a macro. It's in the manual, and there's a convenient flowchart in there as well. Great imagery of how to do it, but we'll walk you through really quick. So you enter macro mode by holding FN and the left Windows key. Nothing will blink or anything. You just hold it until you think there's enough. I hold it for like 3 seconds-ish. And then you hold FN and the escape key to enter macro recording mode. And then the tilde key should blink when you do that. And then afterwards, you hold FN and the key that you want to record a macro on. Say I want the page up key to type switchandclick.com. I'll hold FN and page up until the tilde key lights up again. And after that, I'll record my macro, type exactly what I want to type. And then to end that, press FN and the key that you put it on until the tilde key lights up again. And then you can exit the macro editor if you're done recording macros, or you can keep going on other keys as well. To exit, you press FN and the escape key, and then you should be in macro mode and all your macros should be working. And then to go back to normal typing, everything normal standard mode, you just press FN and the left Windows key again, and then you're out. So it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it. I personally don't record too many macros, but if you type something a bunch of times, then this would be something really useful. But anyways, it's time for the typing test. Enjoy. Alright, so that was the typing test. Sounded pretty good. Hope you liked the stabilizers. This one's definitely a keeper. There are some downsides though, and that would include the fact that there's no RGB, there's not even white backlight. That would have been nice, but that would have also ramped up the price a little bit. They do sell a version with backlight, with white backlight and wireless, but of course that does cost more, and at a higher price, it has a lot more competition to deal with. So there's different colorways that you can pick as well, and overall it's fun to use. It feels good typing on it, feels good playing games on it. I don't have many complaints other than there's no backlight. It's a pretty good option to consider. There's a good price, good keycaps, good stabilizers, pretty much good everything. No backlight though, and there is some spacebar stuff going on, but it's way better than a bunch of the more budget-friendly boards. So links are down below. Be on the lookout for the Best 65 video coming soon. There's also the Best 60 video if you're interested in a smaller form factor and no arrow keys. Not sure why you would want that, but if you're interested in it, you can watch it. I'll link it over here. So funny though. Anyways, I hope this was a helpful video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.